Hey, welcome back to BCB Live. Yes, we are that safest station in the nation. If you're worried about missing some of that weather updates, hey, don't worry. Double Check Dale will be back at the normal schedule time. But drive safe, Dave. When we see these cold snaps, when we see some of these ice or bad road conditions, part of what we do at BCB Live is to make sure we're giving you the news, to make sure that you know, absolutely know what kind of road conditions you're going to deal with, what you're going into. Yes, you still have got to do some of it on your own. Hey, but drive safe, Dave. When we see some of these road conditions, these cold snaps that are going through, is there anything that they need to know out there on the road?
Yeah, especially when it happens quickly like this, whenever you stop or whenever you come to a pause, make sure that you don't set the brakes on the trailer because they'll freeze up quickly. Set the brakes on the tractor. Leave the brakes free. Leave them open on the trailer. Make it a lot easier so they don't freeze up as easily down back there where you're at. Also, when it gets to really cold temperatures, I tell you, it's when it gets down to the single digits, idle the truck. Keep the truck itself warm. It helps keep the fuel from gelling. It also keeps you warm, and you don't want to not be able to start your vehicle in the morning when you're ready to go. It's always nice that
but what if I don't
running.
What if I don't have an APU and my company is on me? They're getting on to me saying you're burning too much fuel, you're idling too much. Drive safe. Is this the time to idle or not idle?
When it's in a single digit, I recommend idling at this time because it's single digit. It's dangerous out there, and it's cold, and everything you touch is cold. So you want to make sure that you're safe, number one. And the best way to be safe is know that your truck will run, right? I mean, you don't want it not being able to start, and then you're going to get cold. Did you see the story about the bread truck on I-95?
No, I did not.
So it was stuck, and they called in. Some guys were parked next to it. They called the owner of the big, huge bread truck, and they took out all the loaves of bread and passed them out on the highway.
Oh, wow.
Because they were stranded there for so long, and the bread was going to be late anyway. And you're just talking about one truck. The owner of the truck said, hey, pass out all the food you can. Get it to everybody. So a lot of people had those little Hostess cakes. They had loaves of bread and walked around, and they walked up and down miles passing out. People were helping passing bread out to people that were stranded for hours.
I wonder when they were done with all that, passing out that bread, were there still like 5 baskets left?
Yeah, there were only 5 baskets and 3 fish. They were. There was. But you know what? It's nice to see that people are working together in those difficult situations to make it a little bit better. I mean, even a piece of bread, when you haven't eaten for 24 hours, it's not bad.
No doubt at all. And it's a reminder to all of us is that, there comes a time and place when we've got to help out our fellow brother and sister, especially out there on the road.
Absolutely.
And that's what we are. Dave, when you talk to, if I talk to my parents or folks that are saying they're 60s, 70s, 80s, let me tell you something. They always talk about back in the day, especially when they know we're involved with trucking, about how those truck drivers, they were the saviors of the highway.
They were the
knights, right? They would always give them a helping hand,
100%.
do this, directions and all that.
100%.
We want to make sure we're still doing our part on that.
Right. We want to make sure that image is upheld today, and we've got to do that. Listen, you may not have the CBs out there like you had before, but if you find somebody in difficulty and you see them stranded, it's okay to ask if they need a phone call, right? It's okay to say, hey, can I call emergency services for you, or can I help you out, or whatever. I mean, it's okay to find out if people need help, and if they do, it's okay to call for help.
Drive safe, Dave. Listen, we talk about the fire department, all those folks that are out right now in the police officers as well. Let's also look at this. We've talked to, I've talked to a few different trucking companies now. We've heard right now that many companies are experiencing about up to a 15% reduction in drivers right now with COVID. We've seen that normal about 4, 5, 6, 7%, but it's been as high as 15%. And let's just do some math here real quick. Let's just take 100,000 drivers. Drive safe, Dave. And I'm going to change this color. I don't like the red. Let me see if we just go straight white. All right. 100,000 drivers out right now. And if 5% of those drivers across the board, just 100,000 drivers, we know there's many more than that. How many drivers is that?
$5,000.
5,000 drivers out today, out yesterday, not making deliveries. If drivers drive safe, Dave, are driving 7 hours a day. Okay, they're driving 7 hours. Now, don't forget they have 11. You all right? We're just going to go, hey, let's just say they drive 7. How many hours is that?
35,000.
35,000 hours of drivers not running today. Is that right?
Yep.
5 times 7 is 35, and then you add the 3 zeros.
There you go, 35,000. All right, we know this from data all over the place that drivers at every hour when they're driving, hey, they're averaging 58 miles an hour. 35,000 times 58 miles per hour. What is that, Dave?
2,030,000.
2,030,000.
Yeah.
We'll just go with that. I'm not even going to check it out.
That's great.
2 million miles today, yesterday, Monday, not being driven today. Over 2 million miles a day with drivers that even last year when we have, normally drivers are out, but you take an extra 5% of just 100,000 drivers.
Yeah, when
there's way more, right?
3 million.
Yeah, 100,000. That's 2 million miles of a day of no productivity, of loads not being moved. We talk about an issue today in which supply chain is massive, right? Supply chain is the conversation. Now, at the beginning of the year, when more drivers are off than ever, you add an extra 2 million miles a day, only off 100,000 drivers. Let me tell you something. There's a lot of freight that's not going to move. When you see that weather that we talked about, drivers aren't going to go there. They have choices right now.
Yep.
Dave, if you have a choice as a driver, because you know that there's a ton of loads out there, would you take a load to a place that's going to freeze you out, that maybe the roads are bad, or are you going to stay south?
I'm going to probably stay south because I can get more hours.
South. You're going to be able to drive more. You're going to get great money anyway because you have the choice. It's in your favor. And for those companies, and I feel for those companies, we saw that in the Colorados. We saw that up in the Pacific area.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. Your freight's going to be sitting for a while. And I just say this, is that can you imagine when the roads open back up again, when it's not as cold, how many loads are going into those areas and the rates?
Because what's coming out.
Yes, because well, again, you continue making the product. You don't stop making product for that area.
Yeah,
people continue ordering, and now the backlogs and backlogs and backlogs continue.
And think of all and also think of all the trucks that are already en route that have to stop.
Oh yeah,
they're stuck. I mean, that they're stuck. They're delays in weather. You got all these issues and problems. It just compounds. I did 3 million drivers, just so you did. So because that's about what is out there, and I did 3 million drivers. It came out to almost 60 million. So I mean, to extrapolate all these numbers out, it's a lot of miles.
Yeah, it's a lot of freight. It's a lot of local deliveries. It's a lot of freight that's sitting on bobtail trucks, box trucks. We have bread out there that's not getting delivered with the bad road conditions. And when you think about the bread guy, hey, we want to thank you for doing your part.
Right.
But think about the same bread driver, Dave. He gave away that bread. It wasn't going to do any good anyway. And now he probably still can't get back for his next delivery. And how are you going to get that next load of bread delivered?
Yeah.
Even in a bobtail, he was stuck in traffic.
Right.
He now has hours of service. He now has all the same issues that an over-the-road truck has. He can't get back safe.
Yeah,
and guess what? H-E-B or whatever whatever grocery store that is, that they still want their bread.
Yeah, and let's talk about this, because this is a great point to bring up an opportunity to be wise with the hours that you have. If you are down, or you do go down because of weather, make sure you don't start back up right away. Make sure you be very miserly with the hours that you have in your 70.
Nice word.
And that you make sure that you spend those wisely, because those hours need to be used wisely. So if you're down for 12 hours, make sure you get your 10-hour break, and not only the break, but you get the rest needed with the break.
Thank you, because just because you get that 12-hour break, it's also important that you try to get some rest.
Absolutely.
And we get it, right? If you come off your 10-hour break and now you're still shut down, it's hard to come off a 10-hour break shut down for 12
If you
hours,
need some-
and all of a sudden you're fresh again because you're probably up during that whole time.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you, there is a skill set with being able to rest even after your 10-hour break and moving forward. I have that skill set in mind. I can, if the
We
truck
found his skill